What's going on, folks? It's Jafer. I am in Encanto Park in Phoenix, Arizona. It is gorgeous on Father's Day here. Happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. Now, we are taking a look at the Blackstone 14-inch griddle. We just recently used this on a camping trip down in Mount Lemmon near Tucson, Arizona, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it. Really excited about it, pros and cons, and I want you to decide in the comments if I was a little too harsh on this or not, but let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so coming in at $139 exclusively through Walmart and Walmart.com in the US and I think Canada is going to be the 14-inch griddle by Blackstone. On the outside, it does have a suitcase style box to it, which is really nice, and it does have a really nice handle. You kind of need this handle. It's very sturdy, and why I say you need it is because this thing is almost 25 pounds, which is kind of insane for a camping stove, given the fact that, well, a lot of its competitors are a lot cheaper, but we do have to factor in that this does have a griddle. On the outside, next to the handles, you do have the two dials for temperature control. You have a push button ignition and these T handles that are tension locked, which are really nice. They do feel really premium. However, what is not premium is going to be these hinges. These hinges do seem kind of weak, and I do have concerns about these over time, but only time will tell. You do have the grease catcher here. There's a little locking hatch. You'll pull this out for your grease. This tin foil here you can buy separately. It's like $5 for a pack of 10. I went with it just to keep things nice and clean. But basically all you do is pull that latch back down, and this will sit right in there and catch that grease. So if you have a tendency to forget things, if you do forget to put this in, it might be a little problematic, and you might end up spilling some grease all down the back of this. And underneath, we do have 4 feet that are fully adjustable. I think they recommend starting at a 1/2 inch when you start cooking. This is really nice. This is something that you don't see often with cooking stoves, so I really do appreciate that, as oftentimes you go to a picnic in a park here, or you go camping and the picnic table is not laying flat. And then you also have this part here. This is actually going to unlock the griddle and get you to the regulator. We'll show you that in just a moment. All right, so we'll go ahead and open it up. Really super easy to open up, and it is really clean. One of the knocks I do have, not only with the hinges, is going to be the locking hinge here. I kind of wish that there was one on the other side as well, as it does kind of give a little bit of a sense of it being a little weak. So I have, especially when you're camping, this is going to get thrown around in with everything else. So hopefully we don't run into any issues with that. This is going to be the 14-inch griddle. It is 12 by 14, I believe. Now, this is a ceramic coated piece of aluminum, which is going to upset a lot of folks. They're looking for that carbon steel, the cold rolled steel, or even the stainless steel. For whatever reason, Blackstone did not go that route with this model. And to the right is going to be the side burner. This is actually decently sized. I thought it was going to be a lot smaller upon using it, but this is a Stanley 8-inch pan, and you can see the 8-inch is really going to be the max you can do. So anything bigger, you might run into some issues, so keep that in mind. What's really cool about it, though, is that it's long.
That's what she said!
So if you do have 2 pots that you kind of want to keep warm, but you don't really necessarily need them burning, you can definitely put 2 on here. The side construction of the griddle has these, they're not even really windshields because they don't really go high enough at all, but with them being painted orange, I have seen already where it's already chipping, which is super, super disappointing. All I can think of is that the cover, when you go to shut it, it's scratching up against it. And if you look, it does seem Blackstone was made aware of that already. I left this on purpose just to show you, but there's masking tape on all 4 corners when you get it. It's almost like Blackstone knew, hey, it's probably going to come chipped or scratched, so let's just make it look presentable out of the box. So you would think they would have put like silicone tubing or something over here to safeguard the corners. So I might need to go to a hardware store and maybe get some tubing, cut it with an X-Acto knife and lay it over it, see if maybe that'll help preserve it. So this is definitely a knock where maybe they should have done something a little bit more here, but they saved a buck by not putting any safeguards on the corner. All right, so if we got everything laid out on our picnic or campsite and we're ready to start the grill up or the griddle, we need to at least get the regulator out so we can get the propane set up. And this right here, you're actually going to press in and turn, and that's going to unlock the griddle's locking mechanism. Once this is unlocked, this is where you can remove the griddle. and your regulator is going to be positioned in here. This isn't a bad idea to have it underneath the griddle. However, I feel like Blackstone could skip a few steps for us and maybe implement a locking mechanism in the side burner, because the nice thing about the side burner is it literally comes off. It's painless. You don't need to lift up the device or anything like that. So I feel like it would have been much better on the side burner than underneath the griddle. But you can see here where you do have a large burner, but if you notice, it's not covering the entire thing. So it's gonna naturally be more hot on this side than over here, which if you're someone who's a cook, unlike me, you might be able to take advantage of the lower heat temps on this side. But some people do prefer having, a heated surface that's evenly matched on all four corners. Now to get it back in, there's gonna be two lips here on the left-hand side of the griddle, and there's going to be two little slits in here, and it's going to have to go in. Now, I don't normally have issues with it, but because you do have to line it up, I feel like that might be problematic for people that are camping at night, where they might be in low light situations. So maybe if Blackstone had a different way of a hinge or some way of locking it on the side for like version 2, I think that would definitely be more beneficial. This is actually a really nice quick start on the Blackstone. You basically just push this in, set it to whatever temp you're expecting it to be lit at, and then boom. One click and it's good to go. Now, of course, that can change over time as this thing ages, but yeah, I didn't have any issues with starting this up when we did breakfast and dinner at the campsite last week. I do want to touch on the griddle though, once again, as I think it is something that everyone needs to know with this type of griddle. With it being non-stick, just like your favorite non-stick pan, over time it starts to stick. On that plastic coating does tend to wear out over time, especially in high heat situations. So it is really important that you don't excessively use high heat if you want to have a much longer lifespan with this, because I don't know if Blackstone's going to have direct replacements for this, or they're going to offer upgrades with steel and cast iron, which of course would just make this infinitely more heavy of a camping stove. But nonetheless, make sure that you do not bring any metal utensils, metal cooking instruments, because this will just destroy the coating. You do need to use plastic and silicone only when you are cooking. So really, just to wrap things up, at $139, I don't think this is a bad camping stove, but I do feel that Blackstone basically just put their name on a camping stove, as opposed to them designing and making something really new and innovative and then putting that Blackstone stamp on it. So I don't want to say that they're lazy, but I do feel that, the hinges and the locking hinge seemed really cheap. The orange paint chipping right away for me out of the box. Looks like they knowingly knew that with the masking tape. It's also really heavy, so that is something additionally you're going to have to pack up and consider. And I also wish that regulator was on the side burner, so it'd be even easier for a stowaway option. But I don't want to consider this all a bad thing. The stove itself, it does burn nice, and I haven't had any issues with cooking despite it not teaching me how to cook, because I'm really bad at it. But it does have that easy cleanup. I love the adjustable feet on there. You don't see that at all with camping stoves. The price does seem kind of competitive, to be honest with you. It's up there with the higher end Coleman's and Eureka's, but maybe wait for it to go on sale, or wait for Blackstone to offer maybe some improvements that I'm suggesting. I cannot be alone in this. There's got to be other people that are seeing some of the, the shortcuts that Blackstone did with this. But if you don't have a stove, absolutely, I would say dive at this. But if you already do have a camping stove that you love and it works, I don't think this is really necessary. I would just get a cheap cast iron griddle from Amazon or REI, something to put over your existing 2-burner. Okay, so that is my review on the Blackstone 14-inch griddle. Let me know in the comments if I was a little too harsh. If you have it, let me know if you love it or hate it. And if you're using a different camping stove, let me know in the comments as well what that is. I really am curious what everyone is cooking with when they go venture out of the city. Until next time, I am Jafer, and you guys stay safe.